You did. It is on now, thank you. Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Gerard Filitti. I am an attorney and senior counsel at the Lawfare Project. We are a nonprofit that fights to uphold the civil rights of the Jewish people worldwide and based here in New York City. I will submit my testimony in writing because after listening to Cooney's testimony, I just need to go off the cuff a little bit. What I saw this morning and into this afternoon was an empty chair. The chancellor could not be bothered to come, and this is, after already postponing the hearing, this is unacceptable. There's a simple answer to this. He needs to be replaced. There are plenty of people that the Board of Trustees can find to replace him, people who actually care about the minority rights of the Jewish people and the minority rights of other communities as well. You don't ignore hearings on anti-Semitism that are called by the New York City Council. What I heard were empty voices. The language that was used was typical of a defendant who does not answer questions but answers them in a meaningless way. Nothing we heard today had any merit whatsoever. You know, it strikes me, everyone else has talked about the issues at Cooney in depth, but what strikes me is that what happens in academia doesn't stay in academia. It seeps out and infests our community. And if Jew hatred is what's being perpetuated there, we're seeing that on the streets. I will give you a portion of my testimony. When a student, you know, as Susan said, when a student filmed herself apparently threatening to set a man's IDF hoodie on fire while wearing it, the administration initially condemned this act at Cooney, only later to apologize, saying the condemnation was inexcusable. The administration at Cooney actually apologized for condemning Jew hatred. When students hold rallies at the university on campuses and going out into the streets demanding to globalize the Intifada, to globalize violence against Jews, the administration does nothing. It's silent. When students call for resistance by any means, the administration does nothing. When students chant from the river to the sea, which is the rallying cry of Hamas and the PFLP designated foreign terrorist organizations, the administration does nothing. What happens then? We have student-inspired organizations. We know the names. I'm not going to say them. We all know who we're talking about at Cooney Law. They go out onto the streets and hold rallies. At one of those rallies, one of my clients was attacked, viciously beaten. Yesterday, a federal grand jury returned a bill of indictment for a federal hate crime charge against this person. He went to a rally inspired and hosted by these people who came out of Cooney Law, who come out of Cooney campuses and incite violence. And he was attacked for it. And now we have a federal hate crime pending. This is the consequence of Cooney's inaction. This is the consequence of not responding to all of these issues. We have real-world violence that's perpetuated by people who are infused with hatred on these campuses. And more than anything, this is why action needs to be taken. We don't need an empty chair. We don't need empty voices. We need action. And if Cooney doesn't do anything, then what Councilmember Vernikoff did was straight on. We need to cut funding. We need to affect them in a way that will entice them to take action. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And then Barbara Katai.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ina, for inviting me. I was totally unprepared. I just came to the rally. And I'm a former CUNY faculty in the English department, adjunct. I was teaching there for over 23 years at New York City College of Technology in Brooklyn, where one of the CUNY reps on Zoom said there was a Holocaust exhibit. I never saw any such thing. And I noticed over the years, I was there since the 1990s, and I noticed how there's like a decline in the student population. There used to be a lot of students in the dental hygiene clinic and a lot of other clinics. I taught English. I taught English at City University of New York City College of Technology in Brooklyn for over 22 years. And there's a decline in the population of Jewish students, and there's a fear. There's this like nonverbal fear. There was a standing exhibit that took up the entire lobby of the second floor against Israel. In, I think, 2008, Stand With Us was there. I invited them to come video it. There was not one thing about any factual information about Israel. I asked the vice president if I could show the case for Israel, the movie. He said, sure, go ahead. Not one professor would come and bring anybody from their class until finally I showed it to my class. And then one other professor came up with a couple of students. And every professor is afraid of saying a word against anybody or anything. The